Okay, everybody, welcome back to this screencast thing that I'm doing. I'm Nathan Terry, by the way, and today we're going to be doing some cloud replacement because I know I saw a post about cloud replacement and people talking about that, so I'm going to show you how I do it, or I would do it, and different methods of doing it. And somebody emailed me asking about this, and I was just going to make a video, and then I got caught up in something, and all sorts of stuff. But anyway, so now I'm doing it today. And yeah, so we have this image right here. And the problem with this image is that there's all these little bits of color in between here. So I want to select just the blue, but as you can see, it's really hard to do that with all these branches and stuff. If I had like the magic wand tool, it would only select, only so much. So that wouldn't do it. That would not do. It wouldn't do it anyway. So the first method is kind of a quick and easy, kind of quick and dirty method, but it actually will work if in the right circumstances. Anyway, first I'm going to duplicate this layer by pressing Command or Control J. And the reason why I'm duplicating it is just so I can move it around and stuff and turn off this background one. And then I'm going to go up to Select Color Range. So that's Select Color Range. I'm going to click right up here on the blue because that's what we want to get rid of, right? Right here. Actually, let's see here. We want kind of the most contrast that we can get right here. So that looks okay. You can do stuff with your fuzziness, which is basically the tolerance of it. I'm going to hit OK. Then I'm going to make a new layer mask, right? So we talked about layer masking. And as you can see before, the white was down here, so it's going to keep the white and get rid of the black up here. And sometimes you might do that. I'll show you. You might have done that, and the white will be up here. The black will be up here, and the white will be up here. Just check on invert. That's what I did. Okay, and you can always do that later on the actual mask. So that actually did a pretty good job. As you can see, there's little intricate parts in here where we were able to save some of that detail. So that did an okay job. And sometimes you just have to try these different methods and do whatever works for you, what works for you. And so now, see how I'm going to hold down Alt and click on this. See how you can see that this should really be completely black, and it's only a little bit black, and this part's black. So basically, what we want is black and white, right? So I'm going to come up to Image Adjustments Levels, right? And of course it's right. But so this is the one time when you really want to use image adjustments instead of layer masks, because we're actually modifying our layer adjustment layers, because we're actually modifying this mask right here. So as you can see, if I turn up the darkness of this, it gets in there. It does an okay job, and we can take a look at that, see how that looks. So that did a pretty good job, and it's not 100% perfect, but it did a pretty good job. And then what we would do is grab a clouds. I suggest you get some better clouds than what I have, because I don't necessarily like these clouds that much, and put it underneath that layer that we just masked off. And actually, this is when your selections look the worst, is when it's when we actually have something to compare it to. So now we can see where it messed up right there, and all sorts of stuff like that. So that's the first method. I'm going to turn that one off. I'm going to duplicate that again, and I'm going to turn this layer off. So this is our other copy. Hit Command 0 to see all of our image. So now we're going to go under Channels, and it's right next to layers by default. And we're looking for the channel that has the most contrast, right? So let's look at our red channel. It doesn't have that much contrast. The gray is pretty much the same from here to here. This has more contrast. As you can see, it's darker here and lighter here. But the blue channel, it just seems like the one that would make sense, right? Because we are because we are trying to mask out that blue background. So I'm going to duplicate this. It's very important that you duplicate this, and you can duplicate it by dragging it down to this guy right here, this new layer. Don't just hit the new layer thing, because that'll give you a black one. But I'm going to duplicate this, and also another way you can duplicate is by going under Duplicate Channel right here on the flyout menu. So now that I have my duplicate, I'm going to do the same thing I did before to our other one. I'm going to add the contrast a lot and see. Or actually, here's a better idea. Because this is what we're going to use later on, but I'm just going to do it now so we'll have more. We'll be able to see what we're doing to our selection. I'm going to hold down my Command key and press this. Load that as a selection. It loads this channel as a selection. So I can turn this off. I can go back to RGB. And now I'm going to press my layer mask icon once again. And as you can see, it masked out what we didn't want in our image. That's okay. All I have to do is hit Command I. And now you can see that there's not enough contrast down here, so that doesn't look very good. So I'm just going to hit. So this is what our layer mask actually looks like. Now I'm going to come up here to Image, and this has nothing to do with the other color range thing. You can do the other color range one and just do that anytime. But now I'm going to go up to Image, Adjustments, Levels. Now make sure that you have the layer mask selected, because if not, it won't work. And I'm going to turn on this one just so I can see what my selection looks like. My mask, I should say. Okay, so now I've brought back most of that stuff in here. And as you can see, I can kind of, and we can always zoom in, take a look at what our selection looks like. And that looks pretty good. Okay, so now we have our mask. And the only problem with this is that the black in the sky isn't quite right enough. So basically, there's still some blue in here. So I would come back in here again and do come up to Image Adjustments, Levels. Actually, I want to see just this, so I'm going to alt-click on that. Image Adjustments, Levels, and add my blackness in here. I'm going to try to preserve as much of this detail as possible. And that's just, right now you can see that's just gray. And that kind of messed up our selection thingy. But what I could do other than that is just paint or grab a gradient if I wanted to. But I could just grab my brush, paint black on here, and just kind of make sure that my oh, whoops, I was painting white. Sorry. X. Sorry. There we go. Black, and then I could just kind of paint this on here. Or I grab my gradient, which is underneath the paint bucket, and kind of do a little gradient action here, and set it to the right one, not the radial gradient, but the black to white gradient. I can mess with this a bunch. Actually, that messed up my entire selection. But as you can see, I can kind of, I think I would, from the results I got from this, I would have probably gone with the color range one, because that seemed like it was a better selection. But that's just kind of one way of making selections from skies and stuff like that, is using these channels and duplicating them and using stuff like that. So just play around with it more on your own time and be more accurate with it than I was today, because I don't have a ton of time. So I hope this helped you out, showing you how to replace the skies in our photos.